Yo, what's up guys? It's Talon. Today I'm going to be talking about how I went from Plat to Challenger playing jungle solo queue only. And so I'm just going to go through the most important things that I found and learned in this jungle push where I was initially quite a bad jungler and ended up becoming quite good at it. I'm just going to talk about early game pathing, mostly early game stuff such as, when to invade people, what type of clears you can do, how I chose my champion pool, and pretty much stealing objectives. That's going to be the main stuff of this video. And then if you want more things in the future based on jungle, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to make whatever types of videos you guys want to see. So anyway, let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is champion pool. So again, as per usual, I would always recommend that you play about 2 to 3 champions because it's easiest to master those 2 to 3 champions. Now for me, I actually, when I started playing jungle, tried quite a few different champions. I tried Shyvana. That didn't really work out for the reason that she was hard to impact early game. Lee Sin, I just wasn't very good at mechanically. It'd take a lot longer to learn him. Vi ended up working out very well for me. I would pick her whenever I needed to lock someone down. So I definitely already had some experience playing Vi, so I decided I'll play some of her. Jarvan was a similar champion to Vi. They did very similar things. They had decent clear speeds and they could lock down an enemy champion. Diana, I tried her out. I kind of sucked at her, so I didn't really end up playing her much more. And then Wukong, Xin Zhao, and Camille were the champions that ended up working best for me. Now, I didn't actually win that much on Wukong, but I definitely would generally play pretty well in those games. And then Xin Zhao and Camille were really the two champions that I won on the most. And the reason for that was they're both kind of like bruiser champions that can both carry and engage for your team. They have good ways to steal because you could W smite with the Camille and then you can alt smite with Xin Zhao. So they're both good at stealing objectives. They're both good at ganking, but also still farming up and carrying games themselves. So in the end, I really found that my playstyle was more of like liking bruiser champions in the jungle that can carry but still can engage and play well even if they do end up falling behind. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you something very important, which is learning to combo your smite with an ability on your champion. So basically what you want to do is you want to find your highest damage ability to the opposing monster, and then you want to combo that with your smite so that you can take the objective down at a higher HP. This will help you steal objectives easier or secure objectives easier when you're on them. So for example, here with Camille, I'm going to use my W, and you can see that it's at 1200 HP right now. But if I combo this with my smite, I instantly can kill the dragon. And that is just a very small thing, but a very important thing for securing and stealing objectives much easier. And now I'll probably show you a few clips of me stealing some objectives with the Camille W plus smite before it was nerfed, which was very OP. Okay, so here is going to be like a fight where I noticed that we're going to lose this fight early on. So I obviously see after that engage that this fight is just over. And so what I'm doing then here is I'm just giving up on the fight, and I realize, what are they going to do after this? Either they're going to go try to end, in which case I cannot stop them, or the most likely case is that they go for the Baron, and I know that if they get the Baron, the game's pretty much over. So I need to find a way to somehow steal this Baron. The best way to do that is to get in a place where they won't expect me to be, which means I need to get to the Baron first so that I can hide in a weird spot, which is what I end up doing. I go into this tri-bush here and I camp, and luckily I have vision of it. So now there's an opportunity for me to steal and save the game, just because of my awareness that they're going to go to Baron right after they killed us all, and I give up on the fight, and instead I just decide I'm going to try to steal this Baron. And we end up, you'll see here, we get the Baron, and so now we have a chance of winning just because of that steal, that awareness. And I think that's a really important thing to learn from, is learning when to give up on a fight as a jungler and learning when to try to sneak in and go for a steal such as that one. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about when to invade a champion. So here you can see I'm just on the scuttle right now. I'm just kind of seeing that I have a possibility to gank the enemy laner here, and I'm just thinking about what to do next. I decide maybe I want to try to go for a gank here. I do end up going for the gank, and then at this point, after the gank does not work out, I notice that their Wukong is on the bottom side of the map, and so I saw him on the bot side, which means that I now have time to take his jungle since the enemy jungler is on the opposite side of the map. So typically you need 2 things to happen to invade an enemy jungle, and that's first that your lane needs to have priority, which means that they are in a good spot where they have more health and are pushing into the enemy's tower, and then you also need the enemy jungler to not be too nearby, so that you have a free opportunity to take their camps, which is exactly what I did there. and is a great example of just stealing enemy camps and getting a bit ahead of gold in that way. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the different types of clears you could do. So first, the typical clear that I would do on most champions, especially champions that have slower clear speeds, is I would simply, first I would go control ward my blue buff, then I would back, I would get the sweeper, and then I would go from my rocks or my krugs to my red buff, then my raptors, and then go decide on which scuttle to go to. The reason I do this is because then my entire one side of the map is cleared, and I can right after just go clear the other side of my map or gank someone, and it's the most efficient type of clear. Other types of clears you could do that same path, but then you could just go full clear your blue side and ignore the scuttle. You could also go red buff to raptors and then go clear a camp or two on your blue side before going to scuttle. You just want to make sure you're at scuttle at around 125 if you do want to end up contesting the scuttle. That's especially good to contest the scuttle as an early game champion, because then you can try to force a fight, but you have to make sure that your laners are in good positions to help. So those are just some of the main types of clears. And then something important I want to note about clearing as well is just about dragging camps to each other. So basically, here I want to group these camps together, that way I can auto attack both of them at the same time. This allows me to clear it much faster. And then another important thing to note is when you have some small camps together, you want to auto attack the highest health one every time, because it'll deal more damage. So you see I keep dragging it back and forth to the highest health one, and this way I can kill them at around the same time. That'll allow me to clear the camp much faster than if I were to, for example, just keep my auto attack on a smaller health one. For example, if I'm on the smaller health one, it's going to take a lot longer because I'm dealing less damage to the higher health one. So I always want to be auto attacking the higher health minion when they're grouped together in order to kill it faster. So that's just a very simple, note about clearing. I would typically just recommend doing your krugs and then your red side, and then just going for a scuttle and getting your blue side after. But again, you could go for some of those other clears I talked about in certain cases. Okay, so now I'm going to run you guys through an entire early game on Xin Zhao, and I'm just going to kind of talk about jungling early game. So initially, I'm going to go ward my blue buff with the control ward. This is typically really good to do, and then I'll back, and then I'll go get my sweeper. And so here I'm deciding I want to clear my my krugs first, my rocks. And the reason for this is because if I clear my rocks, I can simply clear the entire red side of my jungle, the bottom side, all three of these camps. And then I can go into scuttle. And as Xin Zhao, typically I can get these three camps done at like 110 or 115, and the scuttle spawns at 125. So that gives me a good time to go for scuttle right after I do that. And it also gives me enough time to decide which scuttle I want to go for based on what I see happening in my lanes. And additionally, clearing the entire red side of your map means that after you clear the entire red side, your entire blue side's up. Whereas say I would go with my red buff, then my raptors, then my krugs or something, or my blue buff, I would still have my my rocks in the bottom right still to be farmed, and that would mean I'm losing out on gold. So instead here, I can clear the entire one side of the map and then the entire other side of the map, which leaves me better opportunities to gank and gives me just like easier time to farm without having to walk as far. So typically you want to maximize or decrease the distance you're walking as much as possible. And then here I decide, I look and I see that my top lane has a pretty high likelihood of fighting, so I want to go to the scuttle. I always want to make sure there's a camp in the way of where I want to gank. That way, even if a gank doesn't work out, I'm still getting gold from a camp. So here I first can get this scuttle, and then I expect a fight to happen soon with this lane, and I am correct about that. I now see an easy opportunity for a kill, and I just flash for it, and we try to get it, and we end up getting it. And so what's important to note here is I always have something to do even if I'm not ganking someone. I don't gank every game. Not every game will you have good opportunities to gank. But what I'm doing is I'm putting myself in a position where I can gank if I see an opportunity. And if I don't see an opportunity, I can simply go clear my blue side of my camps. So basically, you always want to try to have yourself in a position where if a fight breaks out, you'll be in a position to possibly get a kill there. But even if you don't get a kill, you still have the fallback of clearing your camps. You don't ever want to all in on just like only ganking people, getting gold that way. You want to make sure you're balancing ganking and farming. And the best way to do this is to try to farm in a way that will lead you towards a lane. And then if that gank doesn't work out, you can back and go to the other side of the map and do a similar thing. The only time that you want to try to force ganks is typically when most of your camps are already down and when you've already cleared them. That gives you enough time to then wait for a gank, rather than first looking for ganks and then farming after, because you got to make sure that your own gold is ahead so that you can get your team ahead. So now none of my camps are really up, which is why I'm trying to force a fight here. And I also know Xin Zhao is a good early game, and we have a level 6 going already once he clears this side of the map. So I end up ulting here, trying to go in for the fight because I know that we're stronger in the 2v2. And so I end up going in on the Wukong here. He unfortunately misses his ult, but overall this still works out well for us. I believe we do end up getting a kill or two. Yes, we do. So there we go. Then Corki comes in, try to get the Corki. Morgana gets a nice double there. And looks like we just end up getting all 3 of them. So again, the reason I forced the fight here is because my camps weren't yet up on the red side, so I had time to waste and try to force a gank. And now all my camps are back up, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go farm them. Again, every time, focusing on efficiency. You clear your camps, then you gank, unless you see a very, very, very good opportunity to gank. You don't want to go out of your way to gank, because then you're wasting time. You could be farming, which would already give you a lot of gold. There's exceptions to this, such as thinking about the win condition of a game. So if you're playing a champion that's a tank jungler, such as Rammus, like Vi, Jarvan, stuff like that, then if you have a very like hyper carry type of lane, like a KO, like a Jinx, those types of things, then you could try to force ganks a bit more. But typically when you're playing a bruiser champion that does well with gold, like Xin Zhao, Camille, you know, Lee Sin, stuff like that, then you still want to go for ganks, but you want to make sure that in between those ganks you're having good opportunities to farm, and that you're not just, you know, forcing ganks without having like a set path to go. So again, you saw I went from my red to my Raptors, and then I was like, oh, I'm by mid, I might as well check out mid quick, see what's going on. Nothing really happened. So then, okay, that's fine, I'll just get my Krugs next. And since again I have nothing on the red side of the map, I'm going to quickly go check and see if I can get any type of gank off before I back and go to my other side of the map. Instead of wasting my time after I'm farming, I'm wasting my time once I already farm. And so I think maybe I could get a kill here. It doesn't end up working out, but it's okay. And now, since there's only 10 seconds left and I'm already in the dragon side of the map, and we're pretty strong in this game, I think we can take the fight at dragon. And so I decide, why not fight dragon? We can get scuttle to get the extra vision around here. I end up not getting scuttle, sadly, but it's fine. And so we're just going to start this because I have confidence that I can outsmite with my second ability, my ult, and my smite combo, which is really good at securing objectives. And so that's what I'm just trying to do here. I'm going to just do that, and we're going to secure the objective. I'll flash out, and then I'll decide to go back in, and I'll end up dying for it, but overall it's pretty good. And the nice thing here is, you saw, since I cleared my full red side, I decide, hey, I'm going to go for the dragon. But now, my entire blue side's up, which gives me a really easy opportunity to go for the herald. However, it looks like my Yone ends up getting it. And so that's basically just going to be about it for the early game kind of run through there, which is really just focusing on efficiency and making sure that your path, you are running the minimal amount of distance to each camp instead of going, you know, and wasting time going from one side of the map to the other and then back. Instead, you clear one side of the map, then you go to the other side of the map. And yeah, so that's it. We'll get into the next part of the video now. That's going to be it for this video today, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any future video ideas in the comments below. If you want to, you know, like or sub or whatever, that would be greatly appreciated. And see you guys later.